everyone, my name is Laura Mars. I make illustrated children's books, but for adults, and I want to talk about my Tourette's. So this is a disclaimer at the beginning of this video. Usually when I'm recording a video, I'm very focused on the task at hand, so I will not be doing very many tics. You will most likely never see me tick on camera because I am focused on what I'm saying. Again, like my brain's kind of like taking all the energy to focus on making the video understandable, you know, for the audience and for myself, hopefully. Today, I am going to talk about my Tourette's, which I've never talked about on camera before. And I think I might do a longer video about like why I have them, what caused them, because it's a little bit of a unique situation, and just like generally what it's like to live with Tourette's as an adult. But I've recently been making new friends, and when you have Tourette's and you're meeting new people, depending on how severe your Tourette's are, you at some point you're probably going to disclose this about you, or they will see it happening and they'll have to ask you why, or like, why are you doing this behavior? Like, why are you moving this way? Why are you making this sound? And you will at some point have to explain to them what Tourette's are and how they should interact with you when that happens around them. And recently I have met some new people and have like new friends in my life, and a question has been brought up several times by several different people. Even someone that I've known for a while recently asked this question, and I thought it was sort of an interesting coincidence that I've got this like question but from several different people. And the question is it okay to call my tics cute, basically? Is it okay to say that they're cute? Do I feel comfortable with people describing them as cute? And that is something that I hadn't really considered before, because I hadn't really gotten that feedback from people, because I associate my tics with like pretty negative experiences. So I'd never really heard them described as cute, but like 3 or 4 people asked me this question, and I was like, I think I didn't know what to feel at first, because I talked to someone about this, and in a way, when you say that they're cute, you're sort of objectifying them in a way, like you're putting a positive connotation on a disordered way of my brain. Like my brain is not functioning the way that like it should technically, and you're kind of putting a positive connotation on that, and it is a bit weird. I think it feels a little bit similar to calling another a disability cute. I'm not sure if I can think of a specific one, because I think most of my examples would be kind of weird, but like calling a disability cute, like maybe there are disabilities that people find cute. Is it okay to call them cute? I think it's up to the individual. I don't feel comfortable with people fetishizing my tics, because fetishizing them and then kind of treating them like me as an object, I don't feel comfortable with that. I don't want my partner to have a tics or Tourette's fetish, because I would feel objectified and really weird, and like I don't want an intrinsic part of myself that I can't control to be a really big turn on for them. I think I would feel very uncomfortable with that situation, which makes dating a little bit hard, because like when I'm talking to someone, I have to be like, hey, I have, you know, tics, how do you feel about that? And then I kind of have to gauge their reaction. If they're a little too excited about it, I'm gonna be like, okay, I'm just gonna store this information for later. So yeah, I kind of have, that is a thing that I have to like think about when I'm dating, is like, how into this are they? Is it weird? Do I like this? Do I not like this? How are they reacting to this part of me? But when someone refers to my tics as cute, I don't think that's fetishizing them. I think it's just associating something positive with something that should be maybe seen as more neutral, because there's nothing inherently wrong with having tics, but it's not really a positive experience most of the time. I would say it can often be a very negative experience. But I think when it comes down to it, I don't think that there should be a general rule for everyone that everyone has to follow. And I think that it is ultimately up to the individual and people who respect their boundaries. So me personally, to answer the question for myself, when someone asks me, is it okay to call my Tourette's cute? I generally respond, when someone tells me that, it's letting them know that 1, I'm not annoying them with my tics, because my tics are often verbal, and 2, they are associating it with something positive. And I have had a lot of negative experiences with my tics, so it validates me and it reminds me that I'm not annoying them and I'm not taking up too much space, and it feels nice to have some sort of positive association with it. I think if they said it all the time, it could get a little weird, because I have to be careful with how people interact with me with my Tourette's, because if it becomes a really big focus in our conversations, my Tourette's will get worse. Like, even talking about this video, I'm probably gonna have a lot more Tourette's today because a lot more tics today because I talked about this in detail. So I think my response is yes, it's okay. I actually appreciate it if you say that, but we should not make it the topic of every conversation. Acknowledge it once, twice, if you really need to, and then let's just move on and not acknowledge every single time that it happens. And you know, when you're first talking to me and you hear it a lot, you're probably going to acknowledge it more because you're like, oh, this is a new thing. I've never had talked to someone with like vocal Tourette's before, and I get it. It's weird. It's interesting. So I don't mind people pointing out more, but the longer I get to know you, the less I would like to point it out and acknowledge it. I would like to kind of see it as like, I would kind of like you to react as if I was like coughing. Actually, no, I don't. I kind of would just prefer you to ignore it, assuming everything else is normal. But I think receiving that kind of feedback is comforting to me. I can't deny that. And this is something that I've been thinking about like recently. I might change my mind about this later. I might say, actually, no, it makes me uncomfortable and I'd rather people not describe my tics at all or my Tourette's at all. And that will be fine too, because it's up to me and like the people who respect me to figure out how this should be communicated and how I want to interact with people. But this is how I feel now, and I feel comfortable with how I feel now. If it changes later, I can update people in my life that I no longer wish to be described in this way, or I don't want my tics to be described this way. And if they respect me, they'll update their language and stop talking about it, and it will be great. So yeah, that's kind of my answer to the question. I kind of wonder, it kind of sucks because like people with Tourette's, at least for me, I avoid all content relating to Tourette's because it triggers me. So I'm not sure how many people with Tourette's are actually going to watch this, but maybe if you are someone who knows someone with Tourette's and you watch this, maybe you can ask them what they think about it, how they would prefer to be referred to or described with their Tourette's, like how would they like their Tourette's to be described, because it's going to be different for everyone. Maybe they don't want you to mention it ever, and that's also totally great. That's totally fine. Like, I think that's more my preference, if anything, but it's really up to the individual and what they feel comfortable with. So yeah, that's kind of my 2 cents on the subject. If you have Tourette's or have someone in your life with Tourette's who's kind of answered this question before, I'd love to hear what they have to say, because I don't really know anyone else with Tourette's. I'm not sure I haven't really interacted with the community very much, because I don't want to trigger myself. I'd be interested in what other people have to say. And yeah, that's my thoughts. Thank you so much for watching the video, and I'll see you next week.